last video, I made this little mallet and I really enjoyed making it. In fact, I enjoyed it so much that I think I'm going to make another tool. So the tool that I'm going to be making is a marking gauge. Now, I already have one, but I don't think you can ever have too many. This one's really nice, I use it all the time. It is a bit of an antique. And throughout this video, I'm going to be referring to a couple of different parts of a marking gauge. So I think I'll just clarify them with you now. So this piece here, the piece that slides up and down, if you want to do that enough, it will slide up and down. So that piece there is the stock, and this piece is the stem. I started by cutting down the piece for the stock, and then I drilled a 16mm hole in it. I've left the whole thing just a little bit oversized so I can cut it down. I then mounted it between centres on the lathe, and I used a roughing gouge to bring it down to a cylinder. I could then use the parting tool to part it off the lathe, and then I sanded it just before I took it off the lathe, and I also applied some boiled linseed oil and wood turners blend. I then applied boiled linseed oil to the parts that hadn't had any. I mounted the stem between centres on the lathe again. Then I drilled a small hole in the stem and pounded in a small nail. I then cut off the part of the nail that I didn't need. Then I could file it. Then I drilled a hole in the stock to accept a bolt. So I seem to be struggling a little bit with the nut. I can't really get it to thread in and hold that in there nicely like that. So it is a bit annoying because I've got a big gaping hole in there now. But I think what I can do, I can drill a hole around the other side and I can just put a screw in there, and when I want to adjust it I'll just take it out a little bit, move it up and down, and then just tighten it back up. So then I could put a screw in. With the whole thing all assembled, I'm really quite happy with it, and it does seem to work really quite well and marks wood really nicely. I think after a bit of time the end of the nail might start getting worn a little bit and we might have to replace it, but that really isn't a very big deal, and I just think this thing is super diddy and super sweet, and I really think that this is going to be very, very handy in the workshop. And it's also great because now it means that I have 2 marking gauges, which is always really very handy when you're laying out dovetails and things like that. So as ever, if you have liked the video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you on my next video.